Well, hello, everybody. Today is Saturday, September 5th, 2020. I can't believe it's this far in the year already. Welcome to our Contract Trust conference call. We are not accountants, tax professionals, lawyers, or currency dealers. We are not engaged in rendering legal, tax, accounting, or other professional advice. Should you require those services, you should retain competent advice from a professional in that field. So thank you for joining us today. My name is Carol Werelius, and as I said, my associate Jim Knox, and I have these calls typically every second and fourth Saturday of the month. However, we realize today is actually the first Saturday of the month, and I think a few people might have been looking for the second Saturday because we don't have a lot of callers yet. Anyway, it's been a month since our last call, and things do appear to be heating up, so here we are. These calls are recorded and available on our website, indicatorinformation.com, iqdcalls.com, and on YouTube. As we get closer and closer to our expected event, we thought this would be a good time to review our common law contract trust and why we think it's the best vehicle for you to protect your assets. As always, your questions are welcome. Just do *6 to raise your hand. So, most of you are aware that we offer and create non-grant or irrevocable common law contract business trusts. For the sake of simplicity, we refer to it just as a contract trust. It is technically a business trust, and that is totally different from anything else you see in the market. But we have opted to drop the word business from the title as it sometimes causes confusion. If you got your trust years ago and it says business trust, it's still okay and very valid. Now, prudent estate planning compels you not to own anything. Asset management, not ownership, is the best method available to reduce the risk of loss. You can do this by utilizing the contract trust. No insurance at any cost can furnish the protections the contract trust can provide. It provides protection for you, your family, your goals, and objectives. Remember, the secret of real wealth is not ownership, but control. The use of the contract trust that we offer totally eliminates probate and inheritance taxes. Unlike a revocable grantor trust, the contract trust is irrevocable. Irrevocably means no one can tell you to terminate the trust to pay someone else. So your assets are protected from anyone trying to get money from you personally. The contract trust that we employ is created in contemplation of life, not death. The most significant distinctions between revocable and irrevocable trusts are the estate tax considerations. Property you place in an irrevocable trust is no longer considered part of your estate, meaning that the property typically isn't included in your estate's value when it comes to determining if you owe death taxes, and if so, how much. There were several questions lately about one needs a trust at all. From a practical, thoughtful standpoint, you do need a trust to protect your assets. From what we have heard, from a banking perspective, you must have a trust or other entity if you are to receive more than $1 million. And let's face it, if you're on this call, you're probably planning on getting more than $1 million. On the practical side, having assets in your own name can be reckless. Plus, it can wreak havoc on your estate plan when you die. Trusts are used to create estate planning and anonymity. Most folks have a will or think they're going to get one at some point. Upon death, their will gets probated. This means a judge determines the validity of the person's will. And here's the frustrating part. If anyone disagrees with anything in your will, that person can sue your estate. And it gets even better. Did you know that once your will is probated, that it becomes a public document? This means anyone and everyone can read your will. A trust works differently. If you have an irrevocable common law contract trust holding property, the second you die, the management of the trust transfers to the successor trustee. No muss, no fuss. Best of all, because the trust is a private document, no one can see behind the curtain. As your net worth increases, privacy becomes more and more important. And I think you all would agree with that. One of the major benefits of the contract trust is that it allows you to be a trustee of your own trust. The management of any trust lies with the trustee. You retain full management control and benefit of the assets of the trust. No manager, protector, outside trustee, or anyone else telling you what you can and cannot do. and there is no one between you and your money, which is obviously very important. Additionally, there are no annual fees. It's private, not registered to be in any state except Nevada, unless it's actively engaged in operating business. That ensures your privacy and anonymity. The trust owns its assets in fee simple, meaning 100% of the asset belongs to the trust and is managed by one or more trustees. The assets of the trust will never be subject to probate or inheritance taxes. The assets of the trust are protected from third-party creditors who may have an issue with you personally. You may name your spouse as co-trustee. One or both of you can become executive trustees, allowing one to act on behalf of the other. You can name your children as successor trustees. When the trust is created, you need to name one or more successor trustees, and that's usually your kids. If they are minors, you can name an interim successor trustee to manage the trust on their behalf until they are old enough and mature enough to handle it. If your kids are minors, I suggested the age at which they take over the interim successor trustee to be at least 25. But that is obviously determination that the interim successor trustee can make. You can designate one or more successor trustees, specifying that they both become trustees at the same time, one goes before the other. And you can change this designation at any time for any reason. You can add a bloodline clause to ensure that your family's generational wealth does not fall into others' hands. Many of us will be creating generational wealth when this event occurs. Well, you can't rule from the grave. You can specify that all future trustees be part of your bloodline to be proven by a DNA test. For instance, you can name your daughter a successor trustee, and she can name her children, but not her husband. We have also added a spendthrift trust, so no future trustee, successor trustee, or certificate holder shall have any right to alienate, encumber, or hypothecate any interest in the trust or pledge his or her possible share in trust income. Record keeping is minimal, and you can do it yourself. We give you very specific directions on operating your trust, as well as instructions on writing minutes that document your actions. This will obviously indicatorinformation.com is full of sample minutes for your use. And the website is members only for your authorized use only. The contract trust is an irrevocable common law contract trust that is actually a contract in trust format. And we are guaranteed the right to contract by the U.S. Constitution. Jim, would you like to take over for a moment? Jim?
Sure.
We're on number 5.
I was on mute. The question we hear frequently is, how many trusts do I need? That, of course, depends on your goals. We offer real estate trusts, vehicle or vessel trusts, charitable trusts, investment trusts, and management trusts. We have also been asked about different trusts for different currencies. Until recently, we were under the impression that one trust would suffice for your exchange, with multiple bank accounts under it for the different currencies. Recently, Fleming said we needed a different trust for each currency. I believed that he misspoke at the time, but I have seen this suggestion posted in several others. They may just be repeating what he said, so unfortunately, I can't give you a real answer to that question. Why and Carol can protect your assets from outsiders, we cannot protect you from yourself. That may sound a little strange, but it is and should be a concern for all of us. Most of us have the desire to help our friends and family. That is all well and good, but we must be mindful of others' desires and actions. For instance, paying off your brother's mortgage would be very generous, but he may be inclined to come back to you when he realizes you have more money. We all want to help and give someone a leg up to empower them, but we must be careful about enabling poor behavior and bad decisions. Very often, lottery winners end up broke or bankrupt less than 5 years after winning. We need to protect ourselves from lottery winners syndrome. While it may become obvious that you have some new financial resources, you don't need to advertise your newfound wealth. I'm sure there will be a lot of retail therapy post-RV. Most of us will probably buy new homes, new cars, and lots of toys. That's to be expected. You don't need to buy new homes or cars for everyone you know. Depending on how much you have, plan for multi-generational wealth. Work with the professionals, the wealth managers, the family office clubs, CPAs, bank relationship managers, etc. Make sure they make money only when you do. Work with professionals experienced in managing large sums of money. Your local neighborhood tax preparer more than likely would be out of his element with your portfolio. Learn to invest wisely. You don't need a broker who makes money even when you lose it. Instead of gifting cash, which may be a taxable event, consider creating and funding a new trust for those you wish to help. You will be the first and the executive trustee. They can be subsequent trustees, but cannot do anything without you. You can resign as trustee when you feel they are competent and mature enough to manage it on their own. Don't be too generous. Kids may quit their jobs and lead a life of entitlement. This generosity at times may seem to actually harm relationships, with children demanding more and more. If someone asks for money, the best answer is, all my resources are in trust. I'll have to ask the Board of Trustees. Then keep your mouth shut. No one needs to know that you are the Board of Trustees. You may or may not approve their requests, or may choose to lend less than they ask for, with the provision that it's a one-time deal. Don't forget that NDA. Keep it quiet. No one, not even your kids, ever need to know how much you have or even where it came from. So that kind of concludes that part, and now I'm going to take over and talk about what I wanted to talk about.
There you go.
So it kind of goes along with what we just said. And I have a lot of fun with words. I do a lot of writing. It's my muse. And I like researching words. Now, I don't use a lot of words in my standard vocabulary, but I write very well. The fun thing about what I do is I've learned to analyze everything when it comes to people and how they talk to me. I love it when somebody says, can I ask you a question? Now, if I don't know this person, I'm probably going to be pretty nice. But if I know them and say, well, you just did. Think what they said. Can I ask you a question? That is a question. So I answer, you just did. Or I'll say, well, evidently you can. And then I'll probably say, you just did. Would you like to ask another one? And they start thinking that through. Now, think about it. The word can is a question of whether you have the ability. Now, if they say, may I ask you a question? Then I would respond, yes, but I may not answer it. Or I will ask a question back. What kind of a question? Or on what subject? Or sometimes just say, no. So if I'm needing to get more information about where they're going, I'll always answer their question with a question. Like, why do you ask that? Now, you need to know their motives before you answer their questions, especially when you're talking about this kind of wealth. So if you need a few seconds to consider their motive, feed the question back to them and ask them to elaborate. So my point on all this is start thinking about how you're going to answer their questions. And these are some fun things you can use. You know, can I ask you a question? You just did. May I ask you a question? Yes, but I may not answer it. Or just flat out say no. So as you progress, I love the last one. I always say no, I don't. But anyway, as you work through this with your wealth in your mind, you need to get prepared for all of these questions that people are going to ask. And you have to come up with a way not to answer them. Most of us are just too nice. We just will answer a question because we feel obligated because it's a friend or a family member. No, you're not obligated. You don't have to answer anybody's question. Even in a court of law, you can feed the question back to them and ask them a question, how is this going to affect me? They have to answer that before they can force you to answer the question. Same with your friends and family. Why do you need to know that? You know, I'm very adamant about that, and I do it all the time. Carol vouch that. I do it all the time. I feed stuff back to these people, and I get right in their face about some of these stupid questions. I just am not going to be pushed into uncomfortable situations by anybody, especially my family. So learn to say no, or learn to feed back the question. Use some humor like, well, they'll say, can I ask you a question? Well, you just did. or evidently you can. They'll stop and go, what are you talking about? Then you tell them, well, the word can is actually, do you have the ability? Evidently you did have the ability because you asked me a question. So you can have some fun with that, and that buys time to try and figure out where they're going with this question. Why do they want to ask you this question? And you have the right not to answer the question. Rather than fib and lie like some people do to try and get out of it, I'd rather just say, I don't feel comfortable answering that question right now. I don't understand why you're asking it. I need more information. If you want to elaborate, then I'll reconsider it. I've got some, people give me a dirty look. People have actually made a terse comment back to me, and that's fine. I am not obligated to answer their questions, and you folks are going to have to get used to that. You're going to be put in a position with your family and friends, and they're going to expect you to answer their question. You do not have to answer that question. You can answer the question with a question. Why do you want to know that? Where did you hear that? How did you come up with that conclusion? What's this all about? Series of questions. Ask back a series of questions, and you'll figure out what's going on. Then you can figure out what you want to tell them, if anything. So that's kind of how I do things, especially when it comes to business. I'm very well known by some of the clients that call here and talk to me. They get the third degree from me back to them, and it gets quite interesting from time to time. And I know I've annoyed a few of them, and that's just how it goes. I mean, when they start asking me questions that I don't feel comfortable answering, I'll ask them questions why they're asking that. Why would you ask me that? We don't even know each other. And it just, you've got to learn to put the question back to them and don't answer the question unless you're absolutely comfortable with it. Don't let anybody push you into violating your NDA. You will regret it. Trust me, you will regret that one.
You will regret it for the rest of your life.
Exactly. Because you'll be broke the rest of your life. They're going to take your money.
That's right.
Anyway, that was the first thing I wanted to talk about. A couple other minor things. I have a brother that's a great guy. He really is. But he's never handled any wealth. And he's going to have quite a bit. And I'm managing his portfolio. And I've told him that I'm going to put him on a budget. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to buy an annuity. And the annuity is going to be what he has to live on because I am the trustee of his trust. And the annuity will be large, more than he's ever had in a month. He'll get a monthly income from now on. And then I'll make sure he has the right car, the right house, the right this, the right that. It's just a matter of I have to look out for him. He's an alcoholic, and he knows that. And, he has an issue with that. And there are other people in my family that I want to help that have issues similar to that. And that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to buy them an annuity. Now, the trust will own the annuity, but they'll be the recipient of the money. It'll be through the trust to a checking account for them. So keep that in mind. So if family members or children that you want to help them out, consider an annuity. It would be the easiest way to set it up. And then they've got, you can have it for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever you want to do. And it's a one-time expense from you into the trust. The trust buys the annuity, and they get the monthly income. So that kind of wraps
Let me add
up
something there, Jim, if you don't mind. One thing, if by giving somebody an annuity, they have X amount of dollars every month. Whereas if you give them a lot of funds, they may just blow it all. They may be the lottery loser syndrome. So annuity takes care of a lot of things. It gives them monthly income, but it also gives them a limit on how much they can spend. They're easy to set up. And, I think it's a very, very good way to go. As Jim had just said, his brother, I plan on doing the same thing with my brother and my sister and my daughter. They're responsible, but getting money in spurts, if you will, is a lot more practical for most people than a big lump sum.
And the advantage of running it through the trust is they can't encumber the annuity. If you give the annuity directly to them, they can borrow against it and go crazy, and then they have no money, they're broke, and they got a bunch of junk. So if it's in the trust, they cannot encumber the trust by borrowing against the annuity because the trust owns it and is not allowed by the trust. So that gives you a double protection. So that's what I'm going to do. In fact, I'm going to do that for myself. I'm going to set up an annuity, and I'm going to live on that annuity. Now, it's going to be a fairly large amount of money, probably $12,000, $15,000 a month. I'm going to do a lot of traveling. I'm getting in the age now, if I don't do it now, it ain't going to get done. So I'm going to do some traveling. I'm going to have my motor home and my boat in separate trusts and my residence in separate trusts, obviously. And then I'm going to have my personal trust, the one that manages my health care, is going to have an annuity. And I'm going to pay myself, I don't know, let's just say $10,000 a month. And whatever I don't spend, it just stays in the bank account. So it'll grow. So that's how I'm going to do my life. Now, the reason I'm doing it that way is because should something happen to me, which is more likely than not, nobody can grab my money because everything, including my annuity, is controlled by a trust. My successor trustees can take over the control. Nobody can come wipe me out. No government agency, nothing. When my father and my mother both passed from Alzheimer's, and we were fortunate to have the money to keep him home until the last few months of my dad's life. My mom died suddenly. But my dad, we had to put him into a hospice-type situation the last 6 months of his life. And they just took everything they could get their hands on. It was disgusting. So with mine set up this way, even if that happens to me, they only have a limited amount of money that they can get. So those are things we need to consider. We all are going to go down that road eventually. One way or another, we're going to go to the end of our life, and usually at the end of our life, it gets expensive. So keep that in mind. What else do we want to talk about, Carol?
Well, you said something about a secret word.
Yeah, there's a secret word to get you a good deal on some of our trusts right now. I think we're going to use an interesting word, something like, I know, Trump 2020.
There we go.
That's probably going to rile a few people.
Somebody called up until they heard.
Do what?
Somebody says they called up when they heard Trump 2020. What does that get me? What's that mean?
It means you get 25% off on any of our trusts or any of our products until September 12th, which is next Saturday. So you got 1 week to order, and we'll get on it right away. We got people standing by. Like the commercial says, call now. We have people standing by. We have people that can start these trusts instantly. We have them trained and ready to go. So the whole idea of this is we don't know, and I say this so often, we don't know what we don't know. I know it's stupid, but that's true. We don't know what we don't know. We don't know what questions to even ask anymore. We hear all this stuff, like, now, well, you need a trust for every currency? I'm not so sure I even buy that one at all. But what if we do? Well, you better have a couple trusts ready to go. We can work on it real fast for you, but, while you're at the bank, if they decide they want a trust for all your currencies, and I have 4 different currencies, that means I have to have 4 trusts when I walk in there. Fortunately, I already have that many trusts standing by. They're not dedicated to the currency. They're dedicated to other things, but I can use them for that in a heartbeat. So I'm set up for that. So we decided we were going to give everybody a bit of a break here. We thought this thing was going to happen, 2 months ago, 5 months ago, 6 years ago, 9 years ago. And it's still there. It's still going to happen. We just don't know when. But the more I'm reading, and we're starting to get some pretty good information out there, and I'm so glad it hasn't happened until now, and I'm going to justify this saying that our financial system is still controlled by the banksters. And I said that right, banksters. The Federal Reserve still has some power, and I do not want to exchange into their system. Especially don't want to have to use a SWIFT system if I'm trying to move money. Well, fortunately, that is gone. And evidently, we have the QFS for that. And we're supposed to have the quantum financial system in the banks shortly. And I'm kind of thinking that the reason we haven't exchanged is because the system's not ready to manage our money for us. But I think that's going to be very, very, very shortly. And the other thing we have to keep in mind is that the fiscal year for the federal government, the corporate federal government, is October 1st. So we have September 30 at midnight, they're bankrupt. And that's a good thing. Now, it's not to mean they're not going to be able to function, but they're not going to be able to function in the old methods they were using before. And I think that may be pretty much the end of the Federal Reserve, because I don't know if you people know, but the Federal Reserve is a private organization. It's nothing to do with federal government. It's no more federal than Federal Express. Same with the Internal Revenue Service. And that's all out there. You can go research that and confirm that without any problem at all. So that's what I wanted to bring to the table today, is let people know that we think that this thing is going to happen shortly. And there are many, many things that are happening as we speak in the financial realm of the United States and other countries. See, this is not just about us. This is about the whole world. This is a worldwide event. I know people get frustrated because we haven't had the RV yet, but it's not just about us, folks. It's about everybody. So until everybody is lined up and ready to go, it isn't going to happen. But I think we're really, really close.
And, we might add, it's not just about the money. I mean, things are supposed to change dramatically. The global currency reset, but governments are likely to change. Obviously, the way money is handled is obviously going to change with the QFS system. So, we just need to be ready. Absolutely need to be ready. So if anybody has any questions, now is the time. Star 6, please, to raise your hand. Jim and I have both, between us, we've got what, Jim, 50 years of experience, something like that? More than that, actually. So we've been at this a long, long time. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying you're right. It's over 50 years, and we've never had a major issue. We've never been drugged into court. We've never had anything like that. We've never had anybody find any fault with what we do, or we wouldn't be in business. And we've been doing this together off and on since '96. Your husband and I. And then, of course, I have my own company. And I semi-retired here a while back when I got hurt real bad. A nasty accident. And then Carol calls me and says, "You got me in this thing. You got to come help me." Because I was about the current.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we do have a question.
Okay, let's take the question.
Okay. Bobby, thank you again for joining our call.
Okay, well, thank you for letting me in. My question is, when I received the information about calling in and stuff, said that I could be registered or maybe put like on a waiting list so that, when the RV happens that, I would be a part of it and I could just go in. So I was just trying to figure out, because I'm very interested in what I'm hearing and I want to protect myself. I've got a large family. And, man, anyway, I've got a large family, and I want to protect myself. Everybody in your family is not your friend. So, I need this. I need to be a part of this, and of course, I'll learn more as time goes by. But hopefully, we'll get this RV. According to intel this morning, Tuesday, we should be getting notifications for exchange for Tier 4B. Anyway, I was just wondering, do I get registered, or will you remember me, or how will this happen?
Well, we will not be taking any brand new clients post-RV. However, if you send either one of us an email, we will send you out some information and put you on our waiting list. So you'll be okay.
All righty.
And
okay.
we'll give you our email before we hang up. But, yeah, we'll be happy to do that for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm good.
Thank you. Any other questions? My goodness, everybody's so really quiet today.
Well, he said something that's kind of humorous to me. He says he's got a very large family. Remember now, we have friends and frenemies, right?
Yep.
Frenemies mean that they were friends. Now they're your enemies. There's a few of those running around. Well, I have family and families. Those that don't like me and my family. And, they ain't going to get any money. I'll guarantee you that.
Exactly, yes. And, like we've talked about. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to just say that, they've given me a bad time for years about what I do, and they've never taken advantage of the product line that we have. And then when this all happens, they didn't buy any currencies. They think I'm crazy. And, folks, we add now to everything. Old crazy tired When you hit 60 or so, everything hasn't got an behind it. Anyway,
that's true.
So they think I'm crazy and they just, they give me a bad time. And I'm waiting for the day of reckoning when they realize, oh, my gosh, he was right. They're going to come to me and say, can you help me? I won't say what I'm going to say to them on the phone now, but it ain't going to be pleasant.
And, that brings something up. Most of us have told other people about this opportunity, Dinar. And some of them jumped on it and say, thank you so much for letting me know. Other people say, oh, yeah, right, okay, whatever. Somebody told me a long time ago, well, I'll buy it when I see it on Forex. I said, well, by the time you see it on Forex, it'll be too late. Well, guess who I'm not going to give any money to?
Those people.
Yes, exactly.
They sunk their boat a long time ago.
They sure did.
So, anyway, I mean, it's amazing what's going to happen, and I'll be kind to my family. I won't give them any money, but I'll be kind to them. I'll say, well, I did tell you. I did tell you, and I don't know what to tell you now. Nothing I can do to help you. I told you when you should have done something, but you didn't follow through on anything with me, and you were kind of rude to me, and I just thought, okay, whatever. And, oh, well. So.
Okay, we do have another question here.
Okay.
Let's see. Area code 203 in Connecticut. 203. Unmute yourself if you've muted. Hello.
Star 6.
Middletown, Connecticut. Yeah.
Carol, can you hear me now?
Now I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, Carol, it's Don over in Connecticut.
Hi, Don.
And it's a question that came up a couple sessions back. I was going into the file for paperwork to fill out for the trusts. And I guess it was on the one of the master trusts, it asked how many trusts are you looking to purchase? Yet I did not see that on the vehicle trust or any of the other, shall we say, sub-trusts. It was just a question how those are intertwined.
Number one, Jim, we don't have that on any of our applications, do we?
I'm looking. I know that on the application itself, at the bottom, it asks you, please select quantity, and you get up to 10 of any one. Well, when you do buy multiple, we do give you a discount. And I don't, let's see, it says here, management trust.
You're wrong. I didn't see it on the individuals, but I believe it was on the master.
All right, the standard. I'll go to it real quick. So it says here, this application for standard business trust, contract. Here's name. What are you exchanging the trust? Exchangers' names, successor trustees, name, disclaimer, signature, how'd you hear about us? Please select quantity. Let's see. I don't see anything that says that. I'm looking again. Contract trust, contract domicile, address 1, 2, state creators. What are you exchanging? First trustee, second trustee, clauses, the optional clause, bloodline clause. I'm not finding what you're referring to.
I'll go back and try to look it up myself, and I'll address it in an email to you.
That'd be great.
But
appreciate that.
To the rest of your question, Don, all of these trusts are standalone trusts. We started off, as you know, with what we call the mother lode trust, and that is the one that's designed to hold currency. But if you purchase a real estate trust or vehicle trust, they are all standalone trusts. So they're not really sub-trusts. They function on their own.
Yep. Okay. I guess it was the newest one that you had there. I guess I refer to it as a master.
The management trust.
The management trust. Maybe it was under there.
Well, it has their trust name of your mother lode or other trust is what it's asking. So we can connect your mother lode trust by contract for you, and we do that. We write little contracts that are part of the contract trust itself, part of the management trust. And that question is simply, what other trust do you have? What's the name of your mother lode trust or your other trust? So you give me the names.
Okay.
Well, then I go pull them up, and then I can take and build your contract between your mother lode trust and those trusts to the management trust.
Okay. That's fine.
Okay. Well, for the rest of the people, yes, thank you, Don. Appreciate that, Mr. Oberg.
You started to say for the rest of the people?
I was going to say that, when you set these up, we do the contracts in between the trusts. And what we've tried to do is make this simple for everybody. So on the real estate trust and the automobile trust, you do not need an EIN, an employee identification number by the IRS, because they will not have a bank account. You use the management trust. It's kind of like an escrow company. It manages all the money. So it has to be a contract from the real estate trust or the automobile trust to the management trust to do that. And then you have to have a link from the mother lode trust to the management trust. There's two ways to set it up. So one way is to have the currency owned by the individual trust and then contract to the mother lode to exchange it and then drop it into an account in the management trust. All that has to be done is just this little contract. There's 2 or 3 different ways to do that. Depends on how you want it done. It's how we do it. So we do all that. That's why this asks trust name of your mother lode trust or other trusts. So we can link all those for you. So you don't have to worry about it. When you get the package, it's done.
Yes, absolutely. We deliver everything totally complete. Totally complete. Anyway, we've got several more questions here.
Good. Let's do it.
Okay. San Diego, area code 619. Excuse me. Excuse me.
Carol, this is Raul.
Hi, Raul. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I have a couple questions.
Sure.
Hey, Jim, you said that you have a health trust that manages your, what do you call it, annuity?
No, Raul, what I was saying that I have bad health, and as I get older, there's going to be a lot of health expenses. I don't want to come in after all of my money, so I'm going to have a trust that is just dedicated to managing my health expenses. Okay. You can create a trust for any issue you want, and that way I will pay for all of my health expenses out of that one trust. So it's just a way to commingle some of my funds. Since I know I'm in a trust.
So if I do an annuity for one of my relatives, I can put that in my management trust?
You could. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say, since it'll be post-RV and you'll have the extra cash, you need to just go ahead and set up a trust, as we talked earlier on our call. You can be the trustee. They can be a co-trustee. You can be the executive. They can be a sub-trustee. And then purchase
okay.
the annuity, and then eventually, once they know how to run it, you can get away from that, and that solves your liability issues.
Okay. Another question is, you mentioned that at the exchange we might be asked to have a separate trust for each currency. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, unfortunately you did.
That's what we're hearing.
Not sure. Yeah, we're hearing that, but we have no confirmation.
Well, my contract trust already has the two currencies listed in it, which is the.
Yeah, well, we don't need to know that. We don't want to know what they are. But the point is, you can amend that. We want to keep everything private. You can amend that without a problem. You just simply write a minute saying that you transferred it to one of those currencies to a different trust if necessary. Remember, they're not going to see the trust. They're going to see the abstract trust, but they're not going to see the trust.
So having a trust for each currency, if it's required, will that be more appropriately done at the bank?
Well, we don't know. I mean, again, we are hearing rumors by Fleming, and I'm not going to trash Mr. Fleming, but I will say that he's not been that accurate in stuff he's been telling us lately. So he may have misspoke, and other people have been repeating his misspoken phrase. We just don't know. I'm going to say that I don't see that really happening. I don't see the reason for it happening. I can't, for the life of me, figure out why they'd have to have a currency and a separate trust when they can put separate accounts together under the motherlode trust for each currency.
Yeah. I'm going to say... Go ahead.
Well, I'm going to say that I think he misspoke, and I think he meant to say you'll have separate accounts for each currency.
That makes more sense, because that's what I've been learning all along.
Right.
Okay. Well, I think you answered the question. I won't panic. I mean, I will get more trusts after, post-RV, because I'll have the money to do that, and I'll have the reason to do that with all the cars and homes I'm going to own. So, anyways, by the way, I used to live in New York, and the definition of a familia is a whole different story than family. So I got
true.
I'm familiar with that.
Anyways, I used to live in Queens. Anyways, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
Bye-bye. Yep.
Bye. Gary, you're up next.
Hi, Carol and Jim. I get confused on one part when we say that the motherlode trust should be a non-interest-bearing account, but if we go to the exchange and redemption and they offer us like 10% or maybe even up to 15% if we have substantial funds, wouldn't it be a good idea to get interest on the motherlode account? And if not, what should we do?
Let me answer that. Okay, it's really simple. How do they make money for you? They put all your money out into the market and they put it at risk to make 50% and give you 10%. That's how they do that. Now, I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm not going to let them do that. I'll say, I don't want no interest on this account. I'll leave it set, and then as I find good quality instruments that I can purchase that gives me a really good return on my investment with virtually no downside by being insured, then I will move the money into those and purchase those instruments that will give me a fair return. I'm not going to let the bank put my money at risk. That's how I look at it. And I've talked to my banker, and that's exactly what he told me. That's how we make money. We take and we loan it out in the world, and we hope we make some money so you can get a little bit, and we keep a bunch.
That makes sense.
Exactly.
So does that help?
Okay.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Gary. Okay, let's see. Who's next? I have some initials.
Hello.
Initials here. Yeah.
Jim and Carol, hi, how are you? This is Veronica.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. Calling, just before I ask my question, a while ago, Jim, you said that it's better to avoid liability issues by getting a trust started for this person rather than giving them the money. Could you just explain what you meant by that? That the liability
issues? If you give them the money and they go out and do something stupid with it and get hurt, and you gave them the money, they'll drag you into the lawsuit.
Are you kidding?
They want more. So see, you have to remember, we're living in an extremely litigious society. You know, it's so bad now that we have 3 law schools here in Salem, Oregon. And they have, one of them's got a brand new, she's almost 2 years old now, a course on how to sue your fellow attorneys. They're
really?
Sharks, and they're feeding on each other. They're feeding on each other now. So anytime that you put yourself in a position of risk, and if you give somebody some money and they go out and have an accident, you could be drugged into that thing and be just as liable as they are. If you put it in a trust and they are a co-trustee, the only thing that's liable is them. The trust is not liable.
I see what you're saying.
Just them.
So, in other words, at some point you pass over to them so they take over the trust, but you're not.
Eventually, when you're convinced that they can manage it without blowing it, then you can resign as trustee and let them run it.
So what about
Never put yourself in a...
So Jim, what about if you say, I'm giving a loan to you, you can give it back to me, so that way, it's a loan. They took their own risk. Is not the same thing, or it's different? No?
You're going to have to talk to an attorney about that. All I know is if you give them money and they do something stupid and get in trouble, since you gave them the money, you perpetuated the crime or the accident, and you remember, they're going to go to the deepest pockets. Attorneys always look for the deepest pockets, and they're going to go after you.
Oh, I was thinking, so people who are giving people a share of their dinars or whatever, that's not good.
I don't give out any of the currency. What I do is I've got 5 or 6 people that I'm working with right now. I created trust for them, and I put the currency in the trust, and I'm a trustee also, and I'm going to exchange for them at the exchange.
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying. Oh, boy. So I see what you're saying. So, but isn't that the same thing, though, Jim, that you're giving them? Yeah, I mean, you're giving them the money. I mean, in a way, it's the same thing.
No, it's not. My trust funded their trust. I didn't give them anything. My trust funded their trust. They're now a trustee to manage that trust with me. And for that, they can go get a company car, a company house, a company airplane, a company boat, or whatever you want to call it. And they manage that. It doesn't belong to them. They manage that, just like I'm managing all my stuff. I manage what the trust owns. I'm the manager. I'm the trustee. I don't own it.
So my question to you, are you the first trustee or the second one? Are you the main?
I'm the primary trustee. I'm the executive trustee.
And so how do you know they're not doing something wrong with whatever they buy or whatever, Isn't that the same idea?
They can't.
You can't do anything without me signing off on it. I am the executive trustee.
Okay, so I'm corrected here because that's what I was going to do with one person. Let me change that then. Okay, then, thank you. The next question I have is, are there any restrictions on a management trust, the amount of trust that you have in the management trust?
Not that I can think of.
So you can have as many as you want.
Well, yeah, sure.
No,
it's all by contract, sure.
Okay,
it's kind of like an escrow company. The management trust is going to manage the funds. There's no limit on an escrow company. I mean, there's an escrow company that manages the house I live in, and it's probably got 500, 600, 700, 800 clients. So there should be no limit on anything.
So in other words, it's okay to put all that money for all these different things in the management trust, but suppose you're in a setting where it's so much money because of what you're handling. Isn't it good to have more than one management trust for this and one management trust for the other thing? So you don't have too
You can
much
do anything you want to do.
Okay.
Ronnie, you can do it any way you want to do it.
Okay. And Jim, the EINs that I have on some trusts that I have, they most likely will not need a bank account. But if I have a EIN on a real estate situation, real estate trust, then what happens in the case that I have business going on there? Shouldn't I be having a bank account for that, or no?
I don't know how it depends on how you want to structure your life. I mean, I can't tell you exactly an answer because I don't know how you're going to structure all the details. I don't have an EI number for my automobile trust, nor do I have one for my real estate. I have a management company, management trust, that has an EI number, and in it will have multiple accounts. One account be for each real estate, another account be for each car. So each car has a checking account. Each house has a checking account that's within the management trust. The management trust manages that whole thing. So if I need to get a hot water heater put in property A, well, the account that's used is property A's checking account that is controlled by the management company, and the management company cuts the check to the plumber to come out and replace the water heater.
So the question here is, if you have an EIN number on a trust, and it's within the management trust, and at the end of the year you choose not to file thing because the management trust is handling it, what happens? You didn't file anything with income tax with the IRS. Is there a problem
You need
there?
to get with it. You need to get with a tax professional on that. It's outside of my purview. I cannot make any judgments on that.
Thank you.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Veronica.
Thanks.
Okay.
That was a
Darlene.
good question.
Yes, it was, really. Darlene, you're up next. Good morning.
Good morning to both of you. I've been really lazy. I'm now home from convalescing from my surgery, and I was a little late with this call, but I can always go back and listen. But I have a few questions. When you have, I'll take with number one, with your mother lode trust that you have, and you're going to have the contract, as you say, get monies for whatever you need. Is that a taxable event?
Well, I'll say this. It shouldn't be, but again, we're not tax professionals. We can't really answer that question.
Okay. Okay.
Like I said, it should be, but we can't tell you for sure.
Yes, when you put money when you put money into a brand new trust to create it, that is not a taxable event. Money going into it afterwards may and probably will be. We don't know, though. And as Jim says, we don't know what we don't know.
That's true. Well, I thought I'd ask the question.
All right. That was a good question.
Yeah. With your annuities coming from your mother lode, is that correct? Was I understanding that correct? Setting up annuities?
No. No, the annuity we purchased in a separate trust. I'll just create another trust, and I'll purchase the annuity through it. I don't want anything in let's back up 2 steps. Do not commingle anything in the mother lode trust. You don't want to put it in jeopardy in any way. Okay. So if for the little bit of money it costs to create a trust, set up a trust. My annuity trust will also probably be my health and welfare trust, shall we say, because I'm 67 and not doing real well myself. So I know that I'm having some issues and they're going to get worse, not better. So I'm getting ready by getting a trust set up, going to buy the annuity, going to buy my additional insurance, and I'm also going to buy emergency travel insurance because I'm going to plan on traveling in foreign countries where they'll throw my aged little butt on a jet and fly me back to America for surgery if I need one.
Yeah, heaven forbid so. So, Tim, what could happen, right? Okay, so setting up that trust, every time you get like I have several nephews that I'm glad I heard about this annuity because their mothers don't believe in this, and so therefore they haven't passed it on to their sons. And still, I want to bless them because I have the money. I will have the money. So now, with this, do I set up separate trusts? Wait a minute, that's not my question. How many annuities can I purchase under the annuity trust? Am I making myself clear?
Yeah, you are. And I'm hesitant about answering this because I've not thought it through. I am always paper rich and money poor in as much as I have more trust than I have money. I create trust. Of course, I can do that for each situation. So I plan on putting, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 people that I've created trust, and from the trust, there was some currency put in those trusts, and I'm the trustee, executive trustee. They are the trustee. And some of those, the reason the currency is in there is because I'm going to buy an annuity for them. And then I will be the manager of the trust. I'll be the executive trustee. They'll have an income, and then as time goes on, if I feel that they're doing a good job, then I'll walk away and let them manage it. So for me, I'm doing individually. You could do multiple in one trust. I don't see that as being a problem. Carol, what do you think?
I would agree. Like I said, I plan on getting annuities for my brother and my sister-in-law and my daughter. They will all be under separate trusts. Each annuity will be in its own trust. But it doesn't have to be that way. I could do one trust for my brother and sister-in-law, and obviously a separate one for my daughter. But, it all depends on how it comes out, and whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay, so what do you call this trust?
Whatever you want to.
Yeah.
It's basically a management trust, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's managing the annuity. Yeah.
Management and what? What did you say, Carol?
Annuity management. I mean, it's basically that trust is only designed to manage the annuity, so it's a management trust.
Okay, so the 4 trusts that I'm thinking of, do I call them all the same thing, or do I call A, B, C, D trust, management trust annuity?
Different name.
Don't do a sequential name, because then they think, oh, you've got 2. How many more do you have?
Exactly.
So yeah.
We never recommend that.
Yeah. Don't use their names. Come up with, you could do, I don't know, a color, the rose trust, cinnamon trust, whatever. You can come up with anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, where do we purchase the annuity?
Well,
From
that's
insurance.
Undetermined right now, because you're going to work with your wealth managers. They're going to get you a better deal on anything than you can go out in the open market and buy. When you get set up with your home office, they call it, which is your wealth managing team, you will go to them and say, look, I want to buy these annuities. I'm going to buy this amount of money worth, and I want to spread out over this amount of annuities. Give me a good deal, and they will.
That's their job.
Okay, I understand that concept. So in essence, then I have to already have money allocated in that trust for them to set up the annuity. Is that correct? I'm getting confused.
No. You can say, okay, I want to buy an annuity for Johnny. They'll give him $2,000 a month, and I'm going to fund a trust for that, and but get me a rate. So they get you a rate, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to take and create a new trust through the Motherlode Trust and put that amount in there to buy the annuity for little Johnny, and you're the executive trustee, he's a trustee, and you find, his family member, whomever, maybe even yourself could be, however you want to set up, your successor, and you make a trust your successor as far as that goes. And then you know how much it's going to cost. You set up the trust, you fund it, you go to the next one. Okay, now I want one for Susie. You do the same thing. And it'll be on how much you want to give them a month and their age. So if they're a minor, you usually get a little bit better rate. I don't know why, but that's what I've heard.
I was thinking that the trust has to be set up first before you go to your wealth manager asking for an annuity.
No. No, you're going to go to your wealth manager and say, "Give me a quote. This is what I want to do." And then you've got the money in your mother-lode trust. And then when you get everything set up, then you just call us. We set up the 4 or 5 trusts that you need.
Okay, that's okay. Yeah. That's the missing point that I wanted. There I go.
Yeah.
I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I have 2 more questions. And the QFS, I've just heard very little bit about it. But does that mean that there'll be no more fiat money?
Well,
Absolutely.
eventually that's true. But right now we're in we're still using the Federal Reserve notes. And until we get rid of the Federal Reserve, which is a global enterprise, by the way, it's just not America. It's in every country.
Yeah. Yes,
I should say that. Okay. Well, let me just say this. It's not in every country because Iran, North Korea, Syria, and formerly Iraq and Libya. Okay, they now, remember, we went to war on those 2, and now they have a central bank. Remember, that's the difference between the countries that have a central bank and our previous administration's enemies, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
So quantum financial system will eliminate all of that issue.
Well, can I Google that? I can Google anything. Quantified financial system?
No, it's quantum. Quantum.
Oh, quantum.
Yeah. Yeah, it's out there. You can get a lot of information.
Okay. I won't ask. And the last thing that I don't like the password.
Can't change that too much.
That's what it is.
Yeah. What we've found is a lot of people don't like it, and they try and change it, and they get locked out. Here's the deal. I won't try to change it, but I don't like it, and I have to use it. Okay. Yeah. We've been hacked 3 times, and you have no idea how much money we have spent because people did stupid things. And so we blocked it now. You get what you get, and if you try and change it, it locks you out. And then you got to call me and apologize.
Why would one try to change it? Why would one try to change it? I don't understand
they do.
that.
For the same reason you don't like yours,
Well, I wouldn't change it. I don't have the authority to change anybody's password.
Well, there is a button there that says, change your password. But here's the funny part about that.
Oh.
When you go to the change your password, it's going to even give you a worse password because the system's set up for 18 digits, alphanumeric, with punctuation. If you don't have all those in there and 18 characters, you're not getting a new password. And what it'll do, it'll lock you out.
Lock me out completely. I understand that.
Yep.
So is number 45's name with a capital T? Or all capitals?
Hey, Jim, we're talking apples and oranges here. Jim's talking about the password to get into our website. I believe you are talking about the secret word for today. Is that correct?
Right.
Oh.
That's what I thought.
Secret word for the discounts, Trump 2020.
And you don't have to spell it or anything. Just when you're talking to us or you want to trust, I heard your call. The secret word is Trump 2020. That's it.
Okay. All right. Oh, okay. All right. So no. The other I still have to work on. But I'm home now and I can use my computer. We're not friends, but we'll get to be friends. Okay.
There you go. Thank you,
darling. I don't have a choice. I think that's the end of my questions for today. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. You have a good day. Thanks. Bye-bye. Okay, we have one more, and then we're going to call it quits for the day. Okay, Todd.
Yep.
Area code 214.
Hey, I'm here. Thanks a lot for you guys' call today. And the question involves the annuities. If I'm an annuitant and I've annuitized, Jim, I think that's an interesting concept. I would like to be an annuitant also. So your mother-lode trust is set up to help. You gave a couple examples. You gave, one such as what I was thinking about for myself was I want to be an annuitant and I want to annuitize right away. And then you gave a second example. You wanted to set up an annuity for maybe a sibling or a son or daughter or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
sorry, I take you.
I'm going to set one up. I'm going to set one up for me, and I'm going to stay within my budget. See, here's the thing. We're going to back up two steps.
Yeah.
I've said all along, and I've been preaching this to everybody, don't do anything really drastic for 6 months. Buy yourself a cheap car. I'm going to buy another used car. See, I live well below my means. I drive a 21-year-old car, and I got a 40-year-old pickup, living in a rental property that was built in 1924. And I have a lot of money, okay? My point is live below your means. Now, to do this properly, when you get this massive amount of wealth, get a car, maybe move up a notch in housing, maybe move to another state, but don't go wild and crazy. Wait 6 months, because in 6 months, your brain will adjust to this wealth, and you'll start making better decisions. That's why I'm getting an annuity. So I will take the 6 months or a year before I start going out and buying crazy things and doing crazy things or building crazy companies. We need to adjust. It's like when you walk outside, it's cold. It takes a few minutes for your body to adjust to it. Or you walk outside and it's hot. It takes your body a few minutes to adjust to it. Mm-hmm. You need to adjust. Take 6 months, get used to the wealth, don't spend a lot, and then you'll be settled and satisfied with what you got, and you'll make better decisions. That's why I'm getting my brother an annuity, because I know how he'll be. That's why I'm buying me an annuity. I know how I will be.
Your brother, well, it makes good sense. Thanks. But how would your brother's annuity be attached in any way to a trust, except for the one deposit for the purchase of the annuity, so he can become an annuitant and annuitize? And obviously, he would want income for life, right? Or would he want a different option? Would he want income for him and then his spouse?
No, it's just him.
Situation?
No, it's a fixed annuity, fixed amount for a fixed amount of years. Now, there's more money in the trust. But he's got to get permission from me to go buy that mansion, which he'll never get. He's got to get permission from me to go buy that yacht, which he'll never get. He doesn't have that much currency. But he'll have an annuity.
Well, he's only going to get one check per month, right, from the annuity company. The insurance company is only going to get the one check.
That's right. But the rest of the money is in the trust, and he's got to come to me, and he's going to have to justify the purchase. And,
so are there several names on an annuity then? Would the trust's name be on the annuity, or would the trustee's name be on the annuity for the Motherlode Trust?
It depends on the annuity. It depends on how you purchase it. The one I'm looking at right now is actually going to be vested as an annuity to the trust. It's not a life annuity. It's just a business annuity. And then the trust then will give my brother X amount of dollars a month, and still have quite a bit left in the trust, even after purchasing the annuity, for his home and his motor home and a few other things that I know he wants. But I'm not going to go out and buy it.
I hear you saying then that you're your own operator of the annuity? Is that what I'm hearing you say, is that you're in control of everything, but you don't own anything, and that annuitant is receiving money from the Motherlode and not necessarily a separate entity? Do I hear that right?
No, you're hearing it. No. The Motherlode took some money and created the trust. In that trust, to put the money in there, then that trust went and bought the annuity.
Okay.
So it's away from the Motherlode. You never want to commingle with the Motherlode.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you bought an annuity from an insurance group, and then he became an annuitant, and he annuitized a certain amount of income for life.
Well, for him, it's going to be 20 years.
Okay.
And then what happens at the end of the 20 years, if he's not with us, the trust just keeps the annuitant money coming into it. If it gets to the point where he's going to live beyond 20 years, then it'll buy another annuity.
So the trust is actually the annuitant?
It is.
That's interesting. See, that wasn't covered, but the trust lives on forever.
Yes.
25 years. 25 years, and then you have to write a minute to extend it for another 25. But yes, it goes in perpetuity as long as you keep the minutes flowing. I just had to go through 4 of my trust. Pardon me?
That wasn't explained. Is that the trust is the annuitant, and that the trust lives on forever. But or after 25 years, the annuity dissolves because it's. And then maybe a renewable clause or something like that, Jim? Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, yeah, it's built into the trust. It says the trust shall be for 25 years and be renewed every 25 years by simply adding a minute saying it's going to be extended for another 25 years. It's part of the trust. It's in the trust. And then, I probably wasn't as clear as I should have been. The annuity is owned by the trust, purchased by the trust. The trust, one of the trustees, being my brother, then can take whatever that annuitant amount is per month out of the trust if he needs it. If he doesn't want to spend it, doesn't need it, it stays in the trust, and then if it builds up, then he wants to go buy something, he's got the extra cash there to grab it. So the annuitant is the trust.
Does he have 100% of the shares?
No. What do you mean, the certificates of beneficial interest?
Yes.
No, he does not. He has half. I have the other half. I have to control these people, until I
You're
know.
in control, but you don't own anything.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's what
Okay.
we're doing here. And
point taken.
So
all right. Yeah, sounds good. You got anything else you might want to put on top of that, or no? I have one more.
Yeah,
question.
I do.
Okay.
What I wanted to add to that was when I feel that my brother is capable of managing it perfectly, and I know he's going to be responsible, I will resign as trustee, and I will send my certificates of beneficial interest back to the trust, the 50 units, back to the trust, and reissue them to him. Then I walk away.
Could you say that one more time again? Sorry.
Okay. Is as a co-trustee, I'm actually going to be the co-grantor. We are going to be the exchangers. My brother and I will be the exchangers. And for what we exchange to the creator is we get in exchange for doing this 100 certificates of beneficial interest. I'll take 50, he takes 50. So he's a trustee. I'm the executive trustee. I have power over him. He can't do anything without me. He has to have my signature. Then we go buy the annuity. Then after time goes on, and I'm sure he's going to be able to manage this without me watching him, then at that time I will give back my 50 units to the trust. I will resign as trustee, and then the trust will reissue that 50 units that I used to have to him. He'll be then the trustee, move him to executive trustee, and I don't have to worry about it anymore.
And does it go on from there, Jim? Does he possibly have a spouse that he can appoint as a minor trustee or not?
He could. He doesn't have one. He could. At that point, it's up to him what he wants to do. I've got him started. I taught him how to do it. I've made sure he made the right decisions. And then, he is a grown man. And then once I'm convinced he's going to do the right thing, or if I think he's going to do the right thing, then I get away from it, let him either succeed or fail. It's up to him. I think he will succeed, but
so you're looking at possibly a certain amount of expenses that he has that you want to try to cover up, and so that's going to take a pretty big purchase of up front, for the company to back him on that for 25 years, right?
Well, 20 years for him, but 25 years for the trust. 20 years. We're going to buy the annuity in 20-year increments. That's the what I understand from people I've talked to. That's the best number. And he's 60 years old, 61 years old, and he's not in real good health. I don't think he'll even make it 20 years. So,
if he passes away, does that annuity dissolve then? Have you sort of principle
annuity
that you put towards that annuity? Would the payouts go to the trust's name then?
Yes. They always go to the trust name. And then
they're
the trust
okay
writes
with
a
that?
check to you.
Knowing that the trust lives on forever.
Well, they know that the trust lives on beyond the scope of the annuity. The annuity is for 20 years, the trust is for 25. So when the end of the annuity, they just quit making payments.
Okay.
So it's over with. It's a contract, it's end. And then the trust has the balance in there. Now, upon his demise, all the certificates of beneficial interest go back to the trust, and I become the next trustee because I am then at that point the successor trustee. So then if he passes away, I'm now the successor trustee, the new trustee. All the certificates of beneficial interest now roll into my possession, and the money is now available in there and the annuity for me. Or I can put somebody else in there.
So checks are made out to the the monthly checks are made out to the trust company?
Yes, it is. And then
From
the trust writes a check every month or puts X amount of dollars in a checking account every month. Or
awesome.
Jerry.
That is awesome.
Yeah, I have my moments.
Hey, dude, I've learned a lot on the calls, and I hit just a few and some in between.
Well, we only have 108 of them out there, so.
Yeah, you've got plenty to listen to.
So, anyway.
Well, is there anything you wanted to add for the quantum financial system, or are you still researching that, meaning that it's kind of a new concept, and how that might work?
Well, I'm not sure how it's going to work.
Pros and cons?
I know.
Or no?
Well, I like the idea because it's using blockchain technology, just like our new voting systems will be using blockchain technology. The financial systems will be using blockchain technology. The new quantum financial system replaced the SWIFT uses blockchain. So when you move your money through the new system, it should be almost instantaneous. Or a SWIFT is taking 2 or 3 days because they threw your money out of the market for 48 hours, made a bunch of money, and gave you what you tried to transfer after charging a bunch of fees.
Yeah, they do. I think it's with the microtransactions, they can do stuff like that. They sure can.
Yeah, they do it all the time. That's why we got to get rid of the banksters.
I think they call that an arbitrage.
Yes, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
Go on. Well, no, I'm looking forward to hearing what's going to happen with that QFS and going forward.
I don't have that much information on it yet. It's new. There is some information out there. I've not read a lot. I've been way too busy trying to keep everything else going. And when it finally hits and is there, then I'll break down and spend the time to really study it. It won't take long to learn it. It's fairly simple. I do know quite a bit about the blockchain system, and if it's blockchain, is like they say it is, it's going to be very easy to understand, and it's going to be very, very safe. And I think that's why we've not had an exchange, is because it's not a secure system out there yet.
Yes.
What I understand about it is that you've got, a private key similar to a signature, and then you've got the accountability. In other words, you want to start voting, then you have the private key to one vote, and that's all that's accountable. There's no more, there's no less. And these people that are thinking that they're going to send out ballots to people that have been passed away for years is ridiculous.
Yes, absolutely.
It is. Well, they're not going to do it.
Thanks a lot, y'all. I'll be on the call in the future. Thanks a lot, Jim.
All right. Thank you, Todd. Thank you. Bye now. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our Q&A. So, most of us listen to or hear the many Dinar calls out there. Many believe this RV is about to happen, so it really is time to be prepared. Having a complete personalized contract trust at the time of your exchange proves that you've done your homework and that you plan to make a big difference with the windfall you're about to receive. I've even heard such preparation may even garner a higher exchange rate. And let's face it, we probably all want that. We are aware that many currency holders right now may be currency rich but cash poor, like so many of us are. We have seriously reduced our prices for currency holders. Our trusts are now just $19.95 for your motherlode trust. Secondary or family trusts are just $14.95, and these prices will go up post-RV. Many of you have asked if Jim and I will be around post-RV. Well, we're certainly not ready to retire. Jim and I will be here to take care of your trust needs for 6 months post-RV. Our staff will more than likely be on board considerably longer than that. We, Jim and I, most of us, we all need about a week or so to take care of our own exchanges, setting up new bank accounts, interviewing our wealth managers, etc. So if you haven't begun your trust planning yet, I urge you to do so ASAP. Being prepared is far better than waiting to get prepared. So, Jim, before we go, would you like to add your contact information, please?
Sure. Best time to get hold of me is anytime between 9 in the morning and 6 in the afternoon. I'm in the West Coast. I'm in Oregon. I'll give you my Dinar number, 866-341-6907. That's the best way to get hold of me. Or by email, and I'm security@indicatorinformation.com. That does it for me. Carol?
Okay. Thank you, Jim, and thank you so much for your help as usual. Thanks to all of you for your time and attention today. My name again is Carol Werelius. My number is 425-820-8090 or 877-333-5018. I am available between 10 and 6 Central Time. And I do try not to work weekends. My husband has got some serious health issues right now, so I'm trying to spend as much time with him as I can. The best way to reach me is also by email. My email is info@indicatorinformation.com. So everybody have a happy and safe Labor Day weekend and go RV, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye now.